Gambling. I think you know what it is, and you might be wondering how kid gambling is allowed. So gambling is basically one of, if not the most addictive thing known to man. To people who are, susceptible to this, it rivals hard drugs. The main idea behind gambling is that you come incredibly close to winning it all. That's basically the core conceit of gambling. Like slot machines, dice, every single thing related to that. It just makes you think that if you do it one more time, you're gonna win. And if that was true, well, the house would lose money, and as they say, the house always wins. And so that just doesn't work. You're not going to be lucky enough the next time you do it. It's not going to turn out differently, and even if it does, it only turns out differently when you have dug yourself into a deep enough hole that when you get that big win, well, already down a couple $1,000 and you haven't even broken even, so why not try it all again, risk it all again? Maybe because I've done it this time, I'm gonna do it again, I'm gonna win big next time. And then you lose all of the money, and then you have dug yourself even deeper. It ruins your life pretty fast. Not to say that, gambling should be banned, because to most people, it doesn't ruin their lives instantaneously. What it is for some people, is just a bit of fun. But gambling is dangerous to, I guess, a decent number of people. Not the majority, but a decent number of people. It is very dangerous for them because it just ruins their entire life. As I said, this entire thing plays with your mind and how our mind works, because our mind wants that sweet, sweet dopamine. It wants to feel good. It wants to succeed. It's like, leading an animal with a carrot on a stick. You dangle the prize in front of them and they just follow you. And this is what gambling houses do. They just dangle a stick in front of their big spenders, and those big spenders follow them to bankruptcy and in many cases to the grave, because when you're really completely bone dry, out of cash, and you have a crippling addiction, there's only one way out. Now, with all of this context, how did this apply to kids? Because there are many loopholes which companies used on kids, the most susceptible of people. Basically, loot crates. Every form of loot crates, every item that has a percent chance of giving you what you want, that stuff, well, that is basically gambling. People give the runaround to the law to make this work because, well, gambling is incredibly profitable. For instance, I personally know of two examples, and well, those examples come out of games, just normal games, and this is not just limited to these games. Basically, every game does it. Minecraft, not the official game Minecraft, the servers, the online servers that are hosted using Minecraft as their platform, which, remember, is mainly used by children. These platforms, these servers use loot boxes, and they could pay it away, but the amount of money they're making, it's a lot of money. It's just too much money. These big servers use loot boxes to provide you with a pay to win items. And obviously pay to win isn't bad in it of itself. I mean, you need money, and people are willing to pay to have advantage over others. That's not the problem. The problem is when chances are involved, because people can't comprehend truly random stuff, because if something bad happens to you, you may become superstitious, or not even superstitious. If you're a religious person in any sense of the word, you may pray to God, you may pray to whatever higher being you believe in. And even if that event is completely random, well, you still pray. And if you're superstitious, you may blame that bad event or even a good event on something that you have done, so that you feel like you are in control of this unforeseen circumstance and that you could repeat it or avoid it. That's what allows gamblers to trick themselves into deepening their addiction. When they believe that they are yay close to making it big, well, they're gonna do it again. And then again, and then again, and then again. Not to say that this happens with all the people. It's kind of like weed. Weed isn't dangerous for the majority of people. I mean, it's dangerous for a minority of people. And for those people, it becomes a crippling addiction. And that's pretty much how gambling works. That's why gambling is legal. This stuff, it's different for particularly people under the age of 25-ish, because around that age your brain is developing, and this stuff, gambling and all its derivatives, rely on manipulating the basic chemistry that makes your brain do what it's supposed to. And if your brain isn't fully developed, that manipulation becomes significantly easier for anyone to do. And so this tactic of disguising this behind loot boxes, and in Minecraft servers, this isn't as maliciously done as it is done in other places. Like, it's far worse in mobile games. Mobile games, they mock every other person who does this. These things, they're on another level. Like, their entire business model is built on making you pull out your wallet every 2 seconds. And they do this by layering currencies. Like, they have 2 or 3 currencies which have exchange rates, and you can only buy the most valuable currency with money. The rest you could just get by other means, or you could use the most valuable currency to buy the rest. And you could probably guess what happens. You pay your money, you get your most valuable currencies, for example diamonds, and then you buy the gold or equivalent, and then you buy the silver and other stuff, and then you buy from that silver or whatever your loot boxes or cosmetics or other stuff that gives you an advantage. And all of this is done so that you lose that connection with your money. It just flies out of your bank account, and of course you're responsible for that, but nonetheless gambling is something that they use in the form of loot boxes. And one of the biggest example of these loot boxes is CSGO, of all things. If you know, but CSGO, it has skins, because obviously you could get those skins by loot boxes, and those skins don't have any real world value, or do they? Because all of this that I've talked about, you could say that, well, it's not really gambling because you can't really get money out of it. But this is, you can get money out of this. You could sell your items to other people for real money. And this also applies to the Minecraft example that I gave earlier. You could sell these, and there are CSGO gambling sites where you pay money and get random skins, and then those are yours. You can do with them whatever. And the people who go on these sites, they know what to do with those skins. Yes, they sell them. And, well, that's not the problem of the companies now, is it? Basically, it's just thinly veiled gambling. And this has been going on for a really long time. Like, way longer than I have time to talk in the video. But gambling for kids is found basically anywhere you could put it. A lot of places do it. Like, if you personally can't do anything to stop these organizations, these companies, these whatever from doing this, and you happen to be a parent concerned for a child or anything of that sort, the best thing you can do is just know that this stuff happens, and that it can affect people's lives. And I guess scariest thing is the people running this, some of them don't even realize the level of the harm they are causing. For example, Minecraft example I gave you, few servers, smaller ones that did this, just thought it to be fun, and that was about it for them. And even were receptive to change when they were told what this was. And they did change. Because, well, if you don't know and you realize that you're doing a horrible thing, well, I guess you have a conscience and you could probably change. But this doesn't apply to the CSGO websites or big servers or these games. They know what they're doing. I mean, if they didn't, they would be bankrupt by now. But they know, and they are making bank off you. Like, for example, for phone companies, mobile game developers, they're basically dancing on a knife's edge. So they really need your money. And if they succeed, it's a big if they succeed, well, they're basically rolling in it. They're just set. Like, they're making bank. For example, the Angry Birds series made enough money to spawn 2 or 3 movies. It had, the company behind it was making enough money off one game to hire a whole team of 100 plus people. They did eventually become a bit over bloated, but nonetheless, this is super effective. That's why gambling houses exist. And for the organizations that are supposed to protect children, the reason they can't or don't do stuff against this is complicated. Because, laws don't cover this, because these companies circumvent the law. That's how they're allowed. And EULAs or any code that companies use that is supposed to go against this, they don't apply because either they're making a lot of money, they can't because they don't have the resources to fight against this. There are so many reasons why this can't be fought against. But in the case of Minecraft, that might be changing, because Minecraft, well, the people behind it got sued because they weren't enforcing their EULA, basically their terms of service. They weren't applying that because, there are thousands of servers, and how many are you gonna enforce your rules on? It got so bad, they were literally making casinos, not even trying to hide it. They were making casinos. It's so stupid. Like, the levels of fuckery is just basically, hey, it's just the point of this video is to raise awareness. This stuff happens, okay? Gambling for most people isn't that bad. I mean, you could probably gamble a bit and be fine if you're an average person. But to some people, that's the end of their lives right then and there. Like, it just ruins their lives. Game Minecraft is very close to me, and to see that this is happening it's kind of hypocritical for them, because in the same EULA they do not enforce, it's said that no guns are allowed, and also no gambling and anything of that sort is allowed. The guns clause, that was enforced, but the gambling isn't. And so, that's why the lawsuit went forth. Basically, gambling in these games becomes like a gateway drug and leads to harder and harder core gambling, which eventually could literally just lead to the end of a person's life, or probably worse. And that's about it for me.